Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse, DC Direct, Page Puncher Injustice 2 Dr. Fate. Now this is actually the third Dr. Fate McFarlane has made from Injustice 2, and they're all done with the same mold. This guy looks to be a little bit darker than the others, but we'll take a good look at that in this video. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, ages 12 plus, includes exclusive comic book in the English language. DC Direct, nice to see that logo again. McFarlane Toys. DC, Dr. Fate. Here he is in the package. Looks like he has a display stand, collector's card, and a comic book. No traditional accessories. One side of the package, Dr. Fate, in front of the Injustice 2 comic, Page Punchers. Other side, pretty blank. At the back, here's Dr. Fate. Here's the comic. You can see it's got Supergirl, Batman, Green Arrow, and Dr. Fate. We already have two of those figures. We finally have all four. And at the bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode. So, with no further ado, let's open him up. And I got this figure with a huge shipment of figures from figureneforall.com. It's a Canadian-based website. They have all the newest stuff for retail price. There's a 5% off discount code. Overall, this was cheaper than it would be to buy them at Target or Walmart, cheaper than retail in the long run. Alright, now that we have this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He doesn't come with any traditional accessories, but he has a display stand, a collector's card, and then the Injustice comic. But before we take a look at those, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Dr. Fate from the Injustice franchise. It just started off as a video game, but it's branched out into comics and even animated films at this point. This is the third variation of Dr. Fate they've made from the Injustice line. We have the original release, then the Platinum Chase variant, and now the Page Puncher version. His real name is Kent Nelson, although there have been a few different Dr. Fates over the years. Dr. Fate himself is more or less the helmet. It's a completely different character that has bonded himself with Kent Nelson. So let's take a look. Now the figure is very similar to the ones released, but there are some definite differences, and we'll check that out in detail later in the video. Most noticeable is his mask and his paint job. The helmet, a little bit more sculpting on the bottom there. It still has that signature Dr. Fate look. The sort of spike at the top kind of gives me a gladiator vibe. You can see his ears sticking out. Going further down, we have the Ankh on his chest. A lot of texturing on the suit. Very well done. Different parts have different texturing. Now this is on the old school body. You can see how hideous the ball joints look on the wrists. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. Like I said, the sculpting detail is fantastic on his outfit. Armor on the knees, gold shin armor. His cape here, nice detail as well. And it's got a lot of texturing on the inside. Very well done. And just a closer look at his face, helmet, and head sculpt. It looks good. Now I've got two major complaints about this figure. Number one, the ball joints on his wrists look hideous. Now this is the same sculpt as the older Injustice Dr. Fate, so the body's a little bit dated. McFarlane's made a lot of improvements since then. He's got big old balls and they are ugly. And then also his head here. Now the head looks just fine, but it's the range of motion. He can look down about this far, but if you want to look up, the back of the helmet is going to just hit his back, and it's going to prevent you from looking up very much. And it makes the figure seem like he's looking down quite a bit of the time. Now for his accessories. Let's start off with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand. Typical McFarlane stand we've seen a million times before. Black perfect circle. It says DC on the bottom. It's got one peg for the peg holes on his feet. Very thin, very basic. Now let's look at his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of the cover of the Injustice comic book. It's got all four of the characters from this wave: Batman, Supergirl, Green Arrow, and Dr. Fate. On the back side, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Now for the comic book. This is Injustice. It's a one-off issue, and I believe it's made by the people at McFarlane Toys. At the top, Injustice. You can see we have all four of the characters from the wave. DC. And so I got the entire wave. I've got 4 of these comics. Decided to open one of them up. Injustice. Here's some of the art on the inside. Actually, it looks pretty good. You can see all the different DC characters in their Injustice looks. Pretty cool. Since I got the entire wave, I've got 4 of these Injustice issues. I kept 3 of them sealed and opened one of them up. Now, one complaint I would have by the way they handle the comics in the Page Puncher line, you can have a wave with 4 figures or maybe even 6 figures, and all the comics are exactly the same. They should give at least some sort of variation to the covers, even if it's simply the letters of Injustice being a little bit different. Just something to appeal to collectors like me. I believe that's something they corrected in the Aquaman wave of Page Punchers, the next wave. I believe the covers are all at least a little bit different. Now, Dr. Fate doesn't come with any traditional character-specific accessories, but an accessory that really works good for him is a sort of sound effect that came with Shriek. So to represent sort of waves of sound, you can see where his fingers will fit in there. But it'll double up great as sort of a magic or energy effect for Dr. Fate here. Of course, you can use 2 of them, 1 for each hand. And then the other version of Shriek, it came with sort of this weird version here. Not a perfect circle. Here's Dr. Fate, one of those energy effects. I think they look perfect for him. Except for those little finger holes. A little distracting, but not that big a deal. In order to make this work, I had to attach some sticky tack to the back side of these effects. Can't tell from the front, but it's the only way to get his hands to hold those different spell effects. Now I wanted to check out the differences between this Page Puncher Dr. Fate and the original Injustice Dr. Fate. There are now 3 different variations. We have the original, the Page Puncher, and the Platinum Chase variant. The Platinum Chase variant and the original are 100% the same figure. He just has a lighter blue paint job. So let's look at the differences between these 2. So obviously, the helmet is considerably different. The original release is much more traditional Dr. Fate helmet. This one has a lot of extra sculpting details, sort of in the mouth area. More sculpting going on up top here. This one's a lot smoother. Going further down, looks like this piece is the same. The armor, the torso is the same. The belt is considerably different, and they got rid of that sort of skirt thing on this guy, which is a good thing, because if you move this guy's legs a bunch, you're going to rip the glue off here. I was fortunate it never happened to me, but it did happen with that other version back there. Arms are the same. Shoulder pads are different. Actually has less detail in this new version. Looks like the armor on hands are the same. Going further down, once again, a little bit less detail. He has the Ankh on the original version. Not here. The whole skirt area is missing. And then even the shin armor is different. Beyond that, they look to be pretty much the same, but at least it's worth getting. Very different compared to what I expected. Here's a close look at the new Page Puncher Dr. Fate's helmet, and here's the original Injustice version. I think I like the original's helmet better. It's more traditional, screams Dr. Fate a little more to me, but I do appreciate the differences the new one brings to the table. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his lack of accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his helmet, standing at about 7.4 inches tall, which is going to translate to just under 19 centimeters. Now for his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. Can't really look up at all, but can look down a little bit. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint. Shoulder pads are really obstructing it, but if you wiggle around, you can get him to go above his cape. Ball joint goes out a good 90 degrees, up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area, increasing the range of motion and covering that large gap. He's got a bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows below that. Then his wrists, and they look hideous. Kind of rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. He's got the soft goods overlay. He does have articulation inside of there. So he's got a ball joint in his torso, or waist, rotate around, forward and back. He has a little bit more there you can see. You can sort of push in there. But any articulation they have is just totally useless, so it's not going to stick. Legs, complete does the splits, not a ball joint, McFarlane style hips. They go forward that far, back, not very much. Rotation is minimal. Double jointed knees. Then his ankle here, forward and back. Rotation, tilt, rock, and he has toe articulation. Here's an image of Dr. Fate floating in the sky using his energy effects. Here's an image of Dr. Fate in the middle of a magic fight. He's just busted through the wall of the side of the building. And here are all three variations of the Injustice Dr. Fate. And hell, here are all 5 variations of McFarlane's Dr. Fate figures. Now let's check them out. Next to some other action figures, starting off with some other Dr. Fate figures. Now before McFarlane's DC Multiverse line, I didn't have a Dr. Fate figure. So, here he is, next to the original McFarlane DC Multiverse Injustice 2 Dr. Fate. A little bit simpler design. I'd say this is a superior figure. And here he is, next to the Platinum Chase variant of Dr. Fate. This is a lighter blue paint scheme. And of course, here are all 3 variations of McFarlane's DC Multiverse Injustice 2 Dr. Fate. They're similar, but each one has significant differences. Then, here he is, next to the Black Adam movie Dr. Fate. Rumor is, they're going to be giving us a gold label unmasked version in the future. And now, next to the Batman Last Stand on Earth, Wonder Woman wearing the helmet of fate. Essentially, she became Dr. Fate in that what-if future. Here are all of McFarlane's different various Dr. Fate figures, and the only one from the comics is actually Wonder Woman. Now let's check them out, next to some other Page Puncher figures. Here he is, next to the first wave of Page Punchers. This is a Black Adam themed wave. We have Batman, Constantine, Superman, and Black Adam. And here he is, next to the second wave of Page Punchers. These are all based off of Injustice 2. Supergirl, Dr. Fate, Batman, and Green Arrow. Then, next to the third wave of Page Punchers, this is a Flash-themed wave. Flash, Atom, Heatwave, Gorilla Grodd, and both versions of Captain Cold. The next wave of Page Punchers is an Aquaman wave. It has Aquaman, Aqualad, Black Manta, and Ocean Master. And then rumor is the next wave after that is a Batman-themed wave with Batman, Robin, Batgirl, and Mr. Freeze. Can't wait to see those. Dr. Fate has been associated with a lot of teams in the DC Universe. Justice Society of America, Justice League of America, Justice League Dark. Here are the characters from Justice League Dark that McFarlane has made so far. The only glaring omission is Zatanna, although we really need a more normal-looking Etrigan. Now let's check him out, next to some other Injustice action figures. Here he is, next to the first wave of Injustice figures, Flash and Gorilla Grodd. Gorilla Grodd got a Platinum Chase variant. This one has silver armor. I was able to get 3 of those guys. I used them as some soldiers in his guerrilla army. Next, they released the white Hopper Suit Flash. This is a good fill-in for Godspeed. And then the regular Dr. Fate, who got the Platinum Chase variant. After that, they released Reverse Flash and Green Arrow. And then the most recent Injustice figures are these Page Punchers, Supergirl, Dr. Fate, Batman, and Green Arrow. Here's the entire collection of McFarlane DC Multiverse Injustice figures. We have a total of 13, including all the variants. There are a ton of other characters and variants they could make, and most of them would be really cool figures. Now let's check them out. Next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the Duke Thomas Signal, Jay Garrett Flash, and Con-El Superboy. Then, next to the Kingdom Come Armored Batman, and the Dark Knight's Meadow Gladiator Batman. And here he is, next to the most recent McFarlane Batman wave, Nightfall Catwoman, Hush Batman, Infinite Frontier Joker, and both versions of Mr. Freeze. Then, next to the Walmart exclusive Gold Label Eradicator and Vampire Batman. And now, next to the Target exclusive Deadman and Flashpoint Aquaman. Here's Dr. Fate, next to the Shazam 2 movie Shazam, and the Amazon exclusive Tim Drake Robin. And here he is, next to the Amazon exclusive Batman Family 5-pack. Then, next to the most recent McFarlane Mega figures, Frankenstein and Mongol. Here's Dr. Fate, next to the most recent McFarlane Gaming Wave. We have the Arkham City Sick Joker and the Arkham Knight Red Hood and Scarecrow. Then, with McFarlane's Mortal Kombat 11 DC offerings, the Batman Who Laughs and both versions of Joker. And now, next is the McFarlane Toy Store exclusive Hush Superman and Rebirth Kid Flash. Now let's check him out. Next is the most recent McFarlane Build-A-Figure waves. Here he is, next to the Target exclusive Crime Syndicate wave, Collect-A-Build Star the Conqueror. And here he is, next to the Speed Metal wave, Collect-A-Build The Darkest Night. Then, next to the Batman Arkham City wave, Collect-A-Build an undersized Solomon Grundy. And now, with the Walmart exclusive Gold Label Black and Gray variants, here's Dr. Fate. Next is some more recent Target exclusive figures, Ocean Master and Batman from Batman the Animated Series. Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. Then, next is some more Target exclusive figures, Kyle Rayner Green Lantern from Changing the Guard, Defiance Deathstroke, the Black Adam movie Black Adam with Throne, and the Justice League Endless Winter Wonder Woman variant. And finally, next is some more Walmart exclusive figures, Speed Metal Dark Flash, Rebirth Shazam, Azrael Batman Armor, and Parallax Hal Jordan. Now let's check him out. Next is some action figures from different various companies to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you don't know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect and work my way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, next to some more McFarlane Toys. These are from different various video game properties. Now, next to some Jack-specific wrestling figures, here's Dr. Fate, next to a bottle of vodka that I started on the other night. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here he is, standing with some NECA figures. Then, next to some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here he is, with some Mafex figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, it's a very nice Dr. Fate figure. I think it is my favorite of the 3 Injustice Dr. Fate figures. Here are the pros and cons. On the negative side, he's got the sort of old McFarlane body. It's a little bit dated. McFarlane has made leaps and bounds since this. His ankles and his wrists, they suck. His neck articulation sucks. His head cannot look up at all. I find him looking down a lot of the time. Now, the overall body and sculpt is a little bit less detailed. He has, I think, 4 less onks all over him. His torso articulation is pretty much wasted. His helmet is more detailed, but it's a little bit too much going on there. Now they got rid of the skirt thing, which was really troublesome with the other figure. If you spread his legs apart, it would rip the glue, and then it would just look bad. Paint job is nice. I like the darker color scheme. If I were to rate this guy, I'm probably going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. I got a little bit tired of this Dr. Fate sculpt. I think the movie one is a little bit better, although his helmet is kind of weird. This is probably my favorite of the 3, although I would personally probably want to head swap with one of the other 2 and have a little more traditional look, and then he would be just right. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, head to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.